All right, so probably no one else is going to be showing up, so let's kick it off. And that's going to be our 8th meeting, I think. We're going to have some, maybe special meeting sometime soon. Maybe have a meeting on Saturday and see if more people can come who cannot come usually on a Thursday. All right, so today, okay, I just wanted to go over a couple of pull requests, but before that, Alan probably would like to do a demonstration of his new component.
All right, ready now?
Yeah, so over to you, Alan.
I'm back.
So Alan worked on this really hard.
Yeah. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So, well, basically, technically, what it is it allows you to fill record in the database, right? Which is like we call it the multi-line form field. So let me just start from scratch, from a new one. So let's. This is a NIST model, and right. So you just gonna do some testing here. So basically, what you can do is that within the the multi-line field. Let me show you. Okay. So what it does also is, if you have an expression within your table record, it's going to run those expressions. And like here, just for testing, this is times the price, and then have a tax calculation within the expression, and this is the line total, which is the subtotal is the tax basically. What it does also is it create a unchanged. There's an unchanged handler you can use to where you will receive all the data, and where you can use to update some other fields within. All right, so you can. Let's say you make a mistake. Here. So any mistakes, it's gonna validate all the it's gonna validate line by line. We'll show you.
Shit, this is nice.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so it will show you a error where the where this case you can just. And actually, I'm not saving any row yet. It's gonna save row in the table only when all the required fields are filled, and then you hit the save button. So if I hit save now, then everything gets in the database. Let me show you if you load the existing one. For example, this invoice here. So it's gonna populate the invoice line with the table, and then you can just do modification to it.
So Alan, it is pure ATK or it's Vue.js component?
It's a Vue.js component within a form field. Within so it's let me show you. So it's a Vue.js component. It also using a it's as a form field, which a kind of generic form field. So you can add it within the form. There's two ways you can use it. You can use it, let's say, using a reference. So you set the multi-line form field using a model, the main model, and the reference on it. Also the field you like to show. Or you can also use it as a, just set up a model. Let's say if you have, like here in this case, a user model, and then you quickly wants to add the, record with your database. So here, let me show you. So this is this database here. So you can add new user if you wish to. So this simply updates record within the user table. And also, if you set up some default, let me show you. Maybe where's that user? All right. So let's say you have a default value. Right? So when you create new record, it's gonna the default is gonna be applied to it.
Alain, does it support autocomplete fields?
Alan, question. If
Yeah.
the field is of drop down or lookup type, will it respect these all things, or it just
Not yet, but the plan is to be able to do so. Also, right now it's only support regular input and checkbox, but we could add eventually we could add drop down. We could add calendar, I guess.
But does it require a custom support for all these field types?
Yeah, it needs to be implemented within the component, the Vue.js component.
Is it possible to make some sort of extension? So
good question. I'm not sure about that.
But without your direct intervention, would be able to add a new type of field.
Good question.
And the other question is, so probably not at the moment. Another thing about the formatting of money. So does it use the formatter from table?
No, it uses the UI persistence.
Okay. So it will not format negative money with red?
How you would do that normally?
Normally, it's a column. Yeah, it's a column decorator for the table.
No, it won't.
And Ellen, one more question. Is it necessary to use Vue.js to use this component, or it can be used like a regular ATK component? Let's say I'm not using Vue.js for my complete application. Can I still be
not
using
yet.
it? Can I still use it?
Are you using jQuery?
Yeah, because it's a very beautiful component, and if we do it with Vue.js only, it would be a mandatory or like it's a mandatory thing to use Vue.js then.
Well, you already use Vue.js is already within within ATK now.
The reason why we picked Vue.js as a component is because it has very small footprint and doesn't have any major implications. So there is a pull request.
Yeah. Right now, it's part of the ATK GS bundle directly.
Oh, okay.
So you can start, you can start using it, or you can build your own component if you want to.
Oh, I
With the,
guess you also done a presentation on Vue.js using. I was absent on that day. Okay, okay. I missed that
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. We decided we're gonna include it into ATK core distribution. So, Alain, another question to you. So, the invoice you're showing is inside Agile demo directly, and will this be a pull request into ATK?
well, that's what we need to decide, right? So, because we started as an invoice add-on, but I think it could be like a pull request within ATK as a form fill, and then we can use that for the invoice add-on.
Okay.
What do you think?
I have no objections. I think it's a really good concept, especially we already have a ticket before, which said, we need a component to be able to address multiple lines. And it looks really good. But what do everyone else think?
I'd also like to see it in a core ADK, so in the standard distribution, because I think if people start using ADK, it's really due to its very, very nice abilities to create a admin. And
Okay.
this is definitely a killer admin tool, this multi-line record editing.
Yeah.
That's at least the way I found ADK, and that's still the main use I have for it. And I think from what I've seen, what other people do with ADK, it seems like basically the same, that everyone uses at least part of it for admin.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
And at the same time, it should follow all the table decorators, and it should be like consistent with other things.
Yeah. It's just if it's a core thing, then we probably will need. So okay. So let's talk about things like decorators. I think for the table decorator, they're really basic classes. So technically, you do have a table here, and all it does, it changes the classes on the column. So you have like TD in there,
Yeah.
and so potentially we can also plug that in.
Yeah.
Because if you have a special field and you assign a formatter for that field and it appears here as a read-only, then that's great. But maybe we can also format the other columns as well.
Yeah. How's it done right now in the? I'm not sure. From the is it using value from the field? Is it a table column?
Okay, I'll try to explain. So when we have component called lister. When you have a template, and on every row, the placeholders within the template are filled with the values from the database, and then they are added to the output of that lister. In a way, table is similar, but before it starts rendering itself, it will go over all the columns, and it will create like a small chunk of template for each column, and it will combine them into a row template. And then it will use the row template to draw the fields. And in order to get this single cell template, it relies on the column formatters. So it's a separate class, and it has a method that actually, so it's called 3 different times. The first time to get the header template, get the footer template, and also it gets the cell template. But it is called only once, so it's not called every time. And the idea here is to improve the performance of the table. So we don't have to go over all the column on every row. Instead, you already have this template. You're just throwing in the values. But there is a possibility for the column to add additional tags. For example, the monetary column says that it wants a special tag inside the class property of a cell, and then whenever we rendering the data, it will also decide whether it's a negative or a positive value and either add or remove the class.
Okay.
But you can, you know what? Can you look inside? So this is this special formatter which called how was it called? Which allowed to have like multiple formats. I think we looked into that.
But these rules are defined at field level,
It's under
or
table column. Multi-format. It's called multi-format. So what's multi-format?
Format.
Yes. So what's different about this component is that it relies on the different decorators, and you see it's calling decorator and it gets the HTML value here, and then it does something with that value, but it does it on every row. So maybe you can get something out of this.
Okay.
And just gets the template for the area around, like for the cell around the data. And again, it doesn't have to be in first. I think what you have right now is quite good. We can include it, and then later on we can introduce decorators, because to be honest, it wouldn't change a lot for the apps. Yeah, so okay, so now the monetary values can be negative, that's great, but it's not going to break anything.
Yeah. Okay, I can have a look into that.
The other question is whether we can do something about the field formatters. Because it's what you're doing, because this is becoming an ATK component, we can maybe add a special method or special class to all the fields and have them, give us what we need for your component. I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So what is currently the problem? Why
Alan,
can't
can you
use
please go into the
field?
code, like how you have made it? Yeah, that's what I was also trying to.
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, we both want to know how exactly you get HTML for the field, depending on type.
Okay, it's all Java, right? So that's why I was asking. It was if there's a field definition for it, but now what it does is this is the main component, right? So and this is the template for the component. So when I receive the data, what it does is it takes data from an input field, which is a hidden field. The reason value are stored. And when the component loading, it will build template regarding according to the data. So so it's creating the table header, the table body, which is this component here, and it creates a row according to whether it's an int field or it's a simple value.
Okay.
And it's always from, hold on, here.
Okay.
So it's all based from this this value, the input value here.
By the way, Gaurav, do you want to? So as we work on pull requests, do you want to review them? I'm not sure if you have permissions to review pull requests, but you are like a really good candidate for that. Gaurav? Hello?
Yeah. Connection problem.
Yeah. Okay, so Gaurav, I was asking if you would like to be a reviewer for pull requests in ATK. I'll probably ask him later.
Maybe write it.
Yeah.
And only tell him afterwards that it costs $50 per month to be able to review pull requests.
To be able to, or no?
To be allowed to.
Yeah. All right, guys. Did you have any other question regarding this?
No, not yet. I'm looking forward to study the code.
Okay.
Yeah, for me it sounds good as well. Yeah, definitely we can polish it. For example, why is there a border around the table?
Oh,
You
Like
mean
padding.
padding?
Yes.
The indent, you mean, I guess, right?
I don't know if it's indent, but there is definitely padding around the table.
oh yeah. Not sure why. Oh, I see. I know. Yeah, I know why. Hold on.
It's okay. Just a note. Yeah, but
No,
yeah,
it's because
definitely we
of
can
here.
clean it up.
Yeah, basic segment has padding. And there's no class, unfortunately, that's something I lack in Fomantic UI. There's no class like unpadded or so for segments where you can just, I implemented it myself. I had have a additional CSS class unpadded to remove padding from it.
In fact, I don't think I need it anymore. I was using it for the loader.
Yeah, but now the loader is on the plus sign, right?
Yeah, I moved it on the plus sign. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, that takes care of that. Okay, so let's try and get that out as a pull request and ask. I'll see that Gaurav has permission to do pull requests. Philip, do you want as well to do the reviews?
Well, I can try. I'm not sure if I'm too good at it yet. It's, always when I see code that some of you guys write, it looks much different to code I write. That's
So it's
strange
really
somehow.
easy, okay? So the first thing you do, you don't even have to read pull request. You have to say, where is documentation? Because no one writes documentation anyway.
Yeah, that's another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I started using ATK a good year ago, I said I'm good at writing documentation. I remember. Yes, of course. Sorry, I have so little time to participate at the moment. It's really, really busy the last and the next 2 months also.
It's okay. We all are. So I'm busy. I wish I wouldn't be that busy, so I could actually put some solid hours into ATK, but for me it's quite difficult right now. Okay, so I think I'll give you. So apart from being able to review other people pull requests, you also should be able to commit into branches. Which means if you see someone's branch and you notice an error, mistake, or maybe you want to add documentation, then you can easily do that yourself. Right?
Okay.
So you see this is a pull request inside ATK UI repository. So I'm going to add both of you. Because of your good commitment and you arriving on the meetings.
Okay, thanks.
All right, and yeah, we also need more people to be more kind of moving ATK forward. So I don't want it to be all about one or maybe three guys, and then
Yeah.
okay, cool. So a few more updates on ATK. As you saw, there was a view enhancements. Yeah, so that's something we're going to merge as well.
Yeah.
It was
In
really
fact,
nice. Someone has contributed. Oh yeah, that's Alex. A lot of documentation corrections, and I merged it, and he did a bit more. So he keeps doing that, which is awesome. I
Yeah.
really like that. And he was also suggesting to start some translation efforts. So that's really good. And maybe we have a meeting on Saturday next time when Alex can also join us, and yeah, get him a role as well. But our family is growing. Also, wanted to give you a couple of updates from data.
Yes.
So we talked a lot in the last meeting about the correct way to implement. I think Gora wasn't here. Gora, have you been here? I think Gora was. Yeah, Gora was. The Philip wasn't here. So we went over this document in here and discussed everything. And I talked with Dark after that, and I told him, look, you don't have to implement everything, just what we need at this moment. But when you implement, it has to be consistent with what we agreed. And there is a pull request for contains 1 now. Yeah, so again, that's how we discussed it a few meetings ago. Yeah, so it looks really good. But again, we need documentation, I think, for that. It's not done yet. There was also new support, so that's great. So I'm not sure what's Mimo's first name, but this actually, I think we looked at the pull request adding a like condition. Now it has a test in here. Actually, that might have been a different one. Maybe I think we merged that one already. So I'm starting seeing more pull requests from more people.
Romans, are you presenting at the moment, or do you think you're presenting?
Yeah, I think
Because
I
you're
think I'm
not.
presenting.
No, you're not.
we don't see anything.
Okay, silly me. Yeah, you should tell me right away.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
well,
I was just clicking through and looking at that. So yes, this really nice pull request now allows us to use like in array persistence. Okay. All right, so quick search, stuff like that work correctly because they rely on like or fuzzy matching. Okay. I think that's it. Any other ideas? What to discuss today? Oh yeah, that one other thing is
Can anyone listen me now?
yeah, Gaurav, we can hear you now.
Oh, great! Finally. So there is one pull request I sent right now in ATK UI.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I saw another pull request from you before.
I discarded it. I'm doing it in now better professional way, like doing a test case first and
Yeah.
so right now it fails because
since the field.
of how it should be. but the solution should be in the data. So I was asking the same thing. So I at least pushed it here. So we have a test case that's failing, and it's okay if it's failing. We know that it's failing.
Yes. So yeah, that's really good. Yeah. So you have a failing test suite, and then we can obviously make a fix for that. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Um, yeah, so I have I'm talking with Fomantic UI guys once in a while, their core team, and they know a little bit about what we're doing, and we have, sometimes Alain sends them tickets or bug reports or whatever. So we have some relationship, and they are working on version 3 of semantic or Fomantic UI, and supposedly they will be looking to perhaps drop jQuery UI altogether. You can still use it. It's just it won't be a dependency for Fomantic UI. I think in ATK we would still need to use a jQuery UI because of the way how we handle component actions and all. But it's like, again, the question is, what do they do and how do we adopt? The thing that really interests me in version 3 is support for themes in Fomantic UI. I'm not sure which direction it's going to go, but if they support themes or support more widgets like sidebars or flyout bars, that would be really good for us, because we can then make them work out of the box.
Yeah. I'm also looking forward for version 3. What really interests me is that you can kind of pick only the components you need to drop the file size of the GS file. At the moment, it's 700 kilobyte, which is really, really huge.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a problem. Once it's loaded, then just gets it
cache.
from cache.
Right. So my question is, like, Romans, whatever we do, because now we are again growing the ATK community. So the persons who is using some ATK, the backward compatibility should be there always. Like if they drop, if Pemantic is dropping some jQuery support, UI support, and anybody is using the projects, at least we should take care of that thing, that should get going.
Well, we won't be able to drop jQuery support because
Okay.
ITK relies on it as well, and we have like all the JavaScript events and like triggers and reloads. They kind of rely on jQuery.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be difficult to remove it from our side.
At least would be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if they have, for example, those calendar widgets and some other widgets, and they decide, okay, hey, no, we don't have to code all of them inside jQuery. We can use some other frameworks. Then cool, why not?
Yeah. But they also said that V3 would be usable with Vue also. So you might, go our own direction. I don't know what it's going to look like, their V3 version, but
As long as they are considering this conflicting issues with jQuery and everything, like Bootstrap and jQuery is having, as long as they are considering this.
Do you guys know about jQuery 4?
No.
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 So I don't know much about it either, but I heard it might be some very lightweight version of jQuery, because a lot of features have been implemented in the browser now, so it's native JavaScript already. it's turns into like very thin library now. Anyway, so yeah, I talked with them and they said they might be able to join one of our meetings, and yeah, then we can ask questions to them directly.
Yeah, it would be nice to meet them.
Yeah.
I really like the speed they develop.
Yeah.
They really have a drive at the moment. They fire pull request per pull requests.
Yes. And then from our side, so I always ask everyone. So if you're using any, for example, when Alain opens up a pull request and it says, we're updating version of semantic UI, I'm saying, change it to semantic UI. It needs to be semantic UI. So in a way, we kind of want to give them a little bit more of exposure as well, because we're using so much of their work.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So nothing from me anymore for today?
Nothing much.
Gofrav, you first.
No, well, like I have tons of questions, but we are fighting with like ATK is providing answers. Romans, we were trying to do something today with a form with 2 buttons, and we were trying to achieve that which button clicked or submitted the form. It was a CRUD form given. Previously, we were able to button is clicked. We were used to check this thing in
That's right. Yes.
I also had this thing, and I think I did a workaround. I added an on-click event handler to each button and set a different value to a hidden input, which was submitted to, of course, when the form was submitted. So I knew which of the 2 buttons was clicked.
Yeah,
quite a hack around.
That
but it works.
Like Philip, can you please come again? Like to do this thing?
So as far as I understood you have two different buttons which can submit the form, right?
The same form.
Yes, and you want to know which button was clicked.
Right.
In PHP code.
All right.
Yep.
On submit.
Yeah, so what I did, I had this question too, and there is a solution in normal HTML form submit, because then you can just put a name or a value to the submit button, but it doesn't work with our forms. So what I did was I added a hidden input to the form, and also added an event handler on both submit buttons, and each submit button would add set a different value to the hidden input. And then in PHP code, I'd read the hidden input value, and that due to this value, I know which of the 2 buttons was clicked.
Okay.
A bit of a workaround, but it works.
But what we try to do is like when you say button save and on JS clicked, you can submit the form. But at the same time, I wanted to pass some arguments also when you are clicking this thing, but we couldn't do it. We could do it, but it didn't happen. And Roman, this is again my next question. Rich text, like if you can just scroll up.
I just scroll down. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Regarding the buttons, right? So when the problem with the buttons is that sometimes you press enter when you fill out the form and you don't know which button is clicked. That was always my issue, why I didn't like multiple submit buttons. And then I'm not sure if like semantic UI form handling has any good support of detecting which submit button was clicked. Maybe Alain can tell more about or have some ideas.
Yeah, no, well, what if you create your own button and then you run a function when you click on it that submit the form with the data you want?
Yeah, that's the
That's
workaround
not working.
Philip was
That's not
suggesting.
working. We tried. So Roman, this my again question. I created rich text. It's working fine, but I had to put this required JS and CS in app so that it's always loaded.
Okay, yeah. So I saw in the comments you said in the past we used to have this method which would allow to load more JavaScript files dynamically. So, for
Right.
example, if you have a rich text component which is placed inside a model dialog, it might need to load the dependency only when the model is open, and it was working okayish in old ATK. So it wasn't working with some of the more advanced JavaScript libraries. Now, any questions regarding JavaScript loading is probably in the domain of Elaine.
Okay.
Elaine,
Yeah.
any ideas how to handle this?
I mean, using GS function, right? You could create a small function within PHP.
No. For example, okay, do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
So this is a proposed component for entry of rich text. It extends from text area, right? And it has a dependency on third-party library.
Yeah. Okay.
CSS in JavaScript, and also it needs to enable summer node like this, and that's it. Okay, really simple. The problem is if you put it inside the model window, this will not work correctly because they modify the.
Well,
They
you need to load this in your page before.
Yeah, and the main page request.
Yeah.
When the
Usually, or you can actually take these files and minify them and use your own local unified version, whatever. So that's the correct approach, I would think.
Well, if it's only for admin, well, just include it, because then a limited amount of persons will be using the page again and again and again, so it's loaded from cache. So the only issue you have, I think, when you add it to the page right away, is that if it's a non-admin but an open web page, then everyone visiting the web page gets additional load because they have to load these two files.
Philip, this is not the component way. This is not the real component way, which
Of
how
course,
it
yeah,
should
it's
be.
not. I agree, it's not.
Yeah, I
It's
actually
not like a
go to see when I got feedback from people in the old ATK. Yeah, so when we had ATK 4, at least few people were asking me why we're not putting on the libraries together and minifying them, because that's what we do normally. Just put a single file, minify it, and that's it. And
But at the same time, Romans, it's not component way. Like you can minify whatever is required frequently, but let's say I want to propose a component, and the component it should be a component in itself.
yeah, well, it's fine as long as you put this stuff inside your page load. You will be okay.
That's we are doing, and it's working right now. But I was just thinking, we are doing this right now.
I mean, you want to be able to load this dynamically when it's needed.
Yes, whenever you require, it's a good option to have at least.
Uh-huh.
I would say it's a little bit more complicated than, because sometimes so you have to distinguish, and sometimes the component would be already loaded. So let's say Philip wants to use this component, and he doesn't want it to be loaded dynamically. Instead, he wants to include in a minified version. So the component should be smart enough to understand that this JavaScript is already been loaded, and not to load it again. It's not. I would say it's not that trivial.
No, exactly. So
So even in previous version, we were having this underscore load, this detect, like if this file has been already loaded, just skip this thing.
Yeah, we did. We had something like that, but it wasn't reliable. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So, well, I
And
wonder if we load it dynamically when it's needed, and then we're gonna have to wait till everything's finished before you can use the component, right? So,
yeah, that can be done with require.js, I think.
well, require.js will just include it into the header.
Yeah, it depends in HTML.
Yeah, but what if you? Yeah, so yeah. Okay. In old
Your
ATK,
page.
there was a mechanism saying, okay, when this, so okay, the component is loading, and component might have JavaScript dependency files. They would be included first, and once everything is loaded, you could actually have a callback executed. So in a way, if you have a component like here, like Gobro has posted. Okay, I lost it again. Then it will load HTML. It will load the request to load JavaScript files. It will preload the JavaScript files first, and only then it will execute the included script, the GS.
Yeah, but let's say because I think your problem, Goward, is you want to have this into a GS model, right?
Yeah.
I want it to be a component, a totally isolated component.
Well, it could be anything. Could be model. Could be reload. Could be like a dynamic tab. Anything. But that's we'll have to do
Sometimes
it correctly.
it can be so dynamic that I don't know that I don't want every file to be possible to be used to be included first. It's again not a good idea.
Yeah.
Gora, would you have? Can you sponsor this feature?
I can talk with my company.
Because it sounds. I understand the importance of that, but it needs to be done properly, like fundamentally. So if this could be a good opportunity.
I think in our API service, if we could have a loader, right? And then this would return a callback, or where you can initialize things when it's slow.
Goro, perhaps we should put a wiki document or the proposal. So just follow the workflow. Create a proposal. Okay, explain exactly how it should be working, and also what kind of things you should be able to do with it. And then it would be just wait until the implementation.
Okay, I can propose.
That would be awesome. For now, so you can start on a wiki. I'll make sure you have permissions, but you can start with a really brief checklist of what it needs to be done, and then we can add more text to it.
Okay.
I'll help you do it fully. Okay.
Sure, thanks.
So, Elaine, I'd also have a JavaScript question, if I might show you.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'll share screen. Do you see me?
No.
You or your screen?
Ah, shit. Whole screen. Now you should see my whole screen, actually.
Not yet.
Yeah. Now something should happen.
Yeah.
I think it's a rather unusual question. I created some more let's say hackish way to using hidden inputs to add values to form submit on click, and I actually didn't find a proper way to always unset these values after form submit. If you read through this pseudo custom JavaScript code, you should understand. So somewhere before the form submit, these values get set, and right after the form submit, they're set blank again. So whatever they tell my app to kind of what action to take. But
why do you need to empty them?
Because like one of these values says add a new invoice or something like that. So if the form is submitted again, I don't know if my setup in general is good, but what I found actually, this code should work, but if some error happens in form submit, this lower part, at least if I remember correctly, isn't properly executed.
Okay.
Which is, it was quite puzzling. Maybe I'll try again and ask next week if it really didn't work, because reading through it now, it just has to work.
No, it looks good, but I have a question for you here. So when you're calling form and submit, are you sure it doesn't support extra arguments in here?
So no, Ramesh, this is what I tried.
This would be really cool if you could do something like...
Yes.
This would be pretty cool. Well, this is not JavaScript. I don't know how to write it. JavaScript is usually this, right?
Yeah.
Some
Roman,
JSON style.
Can you open the can you open form.php file?
Oh, it's not my screen now.
Form PHP.
So in semantic form, right? You can.
And on line number near about 161. So Roman, what we tried, this is that if we can pass some arguments here, default, when submitting this form, and it goes by get or post. It would be very nice. We can now do this thing, like we can add some buttons, we can submit a form and pass something with this.
Yeah, but you see, this is exactly the same thing. So if you could put it on a separate button, but pass extra argument to the
that's what we tried, but it
that would be cool.
I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to do it.
Okay, Elaine, is it something we can do, or is it something Fomantic guys need to do?
Yes, is the form function from Fomantic UI, or is it ATK?
This is Fomantic.
Okay.
So they have some setting that you can use, but I'm not sure if we allow in ATK to pass setting. But this is your own, right?
Even Fomantic should be providing something to pass some extra arguments. The submit should be function.
I got it. It's really easy. We just need to create a pull request for Fomantic, and if it makes sense, then we could get it included in the next release of Fomantic.
Yeah, the best example I think for this to make sense is the which button submitted, because the normal HTML version doesn't work. This would be a really sensible example for the pull request.
Yeah.
Right.
So you like to be able to identify which button submit the form, right?
Yeah, without the hack of the hidden input.
Oh yeah. All right. I can have a look, see if there's something we could do.
I think this should be doable. I'm just trying here something.
it's under it's under form validation. That's where they get form submit under. If you go on the menu,
Yeah, scroll down.
Yeah.
Second last point, second last, all the way down.
Okay.
So there's some setting you can pass. So this is validation. If you look at the tab above, comments.
So you're calling form, and the parameter you pass. Oh, that's the initialization of the form, so that's fine.
This is for validation. But if you look at the tabs up on top, go to settings.
Okay.
Yeah, no arguments are listed for submit function or behavior, not function.
Yeah.
But there's some setting downs, yeah. What is get value? Hold on.
To be honest, Alain, here's what I'm thinking. The form implementation of the form here, I don't see why should we use it all, because it has validation, which we don't use because we do server-side validation. And for sending the data, we can use API.
We use API.
It does. The form is using when you submit, it's using the API.
Yeah, the form is using API. But why do we have to use the form? Do we even use the form? I mean, none of the features.
We do, yeah.
None of the features are used, so we don't use this, do we?
Well, I'm using validation for the display the form field, to display the form field.
Yeah, for displaying. But for submitting the form, we're not using it. So why use form? We can just collect all the data manually from the form and send off using the API call.
Maybe.
Well, on the other hand, it could be a nice feature in future to kind of map the PHP validation we have for the fields to also map it into JavaScript. So you have server-side and client-side validation. If it's the same validation, it's a nice bonus, I think.
Probably. I mean, at this point, I'm just saying I don't see what features from here we're using for the form submit. Because I can only see validation here and maybe manual setting of the fields, which we're not doing through the form anyway.
I think we use add
maybe
prompt
we'll use this
on error.
Yeah, prompt. Maybe we're using prompt.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's right. For error. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, how about this? We still use the form, but instead of calling form submit, we just do the API.
Well, we have a form service in GS, so maybe there's a way to add that behavior within that form service. I don't know I need to look grab which button is submitting the form.
Okay.
One thing I like about this current usage that we use form submit is that defining a custom form submit outside of standard ADK, like in custom GS code or so, is pretty easy because it's a one-liner with maybe 30 signs or so. And I don't know if using the pure API function would be more difficult to define custom form submits.
Well, I think the only thing would change is that the event when you click the submit button is different, and that's it. But
Yeah, because
as I said, I'm not sure. I'm not really good
because
in JavaScript.
the standard line ADK adds to for the one line of GS ADK adds to the page for the form submitting, which calls the API function. It's quite long. It's I think 150 signs or so. It's quite long.
Okay.
You mean when you submit the form?
No, when you actually there's one line of GS added by ADK form to the page, which calls the API function, and it's just quite a long line.
Well, yeah, because you have the URL in there, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have the URL in there. You have a serialized form. You have the method, and it also calls the form function again afterwards. It's like the identifier of the form, the HTML ID .api, and API has quite some parameters, and after that the form function is called with 3 parameters, I think, or settings. It's a rather long line.
Okay,
Yeah,
can we do one thing? Can you come again on the form.js form.php file, line number 161 something?
Yeah.
Okay, so Philip, can we do this thing? On click, we can pass an array. First thing sets hidden value, and then submits the form.
Wait.
Yeah, as Philip said, if anything goes wrong, then the code for resetting the value will not execute.
Okay.
It's a bad workaround. So.
Yeah, I also don't like it too much. I just didn't find any. Well, I was using the hidden inputs, and I didn't find any better way to hack additional information into the submit.
So let me, I can have a look at this and then see if we can find what caused the form to submit. So, and then include it somewhere.
Gaurav, can you open ticket for this?
Yeah, I can.
All right, and then
I'll do that.
all the information you show. Yeah, so Philip, if you could put your example as a comment on that ticket as well, so we have a record of that.
Yeah,
and then,
of course.
Yeah, regarding the loader, Gaurav, if you could start thinking about that wiki page and put something there, it would be nice. But until the next week, the focus for Alain would be on getting the multi-line form out.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so guys, give it some test before we actually release the ATK UI with it. Actually, I'm thinking, to hold off until the releasing ATK UI until we have actions and then do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one thing you might like or might totally dislike what I'm working on, I really like the wizard. The only thing I don't like about the wizard is that when you use it together with the form, each step just sends 2 requests to the server, at least in the demo implementation I found. It's like you submit the form submits, the form is sent to the server says okay, and then calls the
page reload.
Yeah, page
it
reload,
reloads,
exactly. And the
so
page
should be,
reloads
it
with
should
a
be
different
adjacent.
URL. So this
I
is
think
one thing.
we are already working on this thing to be converted in completely Ajax manner. It should be a component reload itself. So the page doesn't reload.
I'm on this at the very moment too. Maybe I can show you.
Great.
Go on.
I don't know if my way is good. But what I am doing is I just used come on. Why can't I share my screen now? Oh, come on. This sucks. Why can't I share my screen? Now you should see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first, this is what it looks like. It's like a wizard, but in fact, it's only a form with UI components of wizard. And when you submit the form, only one request. The only thing it does, it's not finished. It's work in progress. For each step, it just renders a new form layout with all the fields set to it and so on. And within the form submit, where is it? It just sets the HTML content of the form to the rendered layout. It's a bit hacky, but so far
No,
it's working quite
Philip,
fine.
it's quite easy. It's quite easy. If you can open the wizard file, and when we press any wizard, it just go for the JS next button. It should be reload the honor of the model itself, wizard itself. So we are onto like it's a 1 or 2 line changing the wizard itself.
Sorry?
I think that's a slightly different approach. So what you're doing, Gaurav, is essentially Ajaxifying Wizard, because
Yeah.
Wizard by design it updates. It goes from one page to another, refreshes the whole page. But you're reloading the wizard, and then you telling him that he's on a specific page.
Right.
But what Philip is doing, he has a special type of form which looks like wizard, but it's actually a form with multiple sections. And when you fill it out, it does the submit, but then it shows a different part of itself.
Yeah, of course, if form validation says yes, show the next step, then it's just a single GS call, like
Philip, for me the
replace
question is no, why even bother to submit? Because is it just validation?
Pardon?
Are you just validating? Because it seems like you're gonna go to the next step anyway. So maybe you just load all the form. So it's more like tabs than.
So you have it. Yes, of course, I do validation on server side. So that's why per step, I will need a real request sent to the server. I guess your idea was just to load the form once, go through all the steps only on client side, and then just do the request to the server again, right?
And Philip, I think what you're doing there with the form is really cool, and maybe it shouldn't even depend on the form. It's like a separate component, which is really nice. I would really love to use it in some of my projects.
Yeah, well, it's pretty quick. That's what I like about it, because once it's initially loaded, it's only the answer from the server is just a little. It's only one thing the client has to do. It's JavaScript replace form content with the new form content I just sent you.
Yes, and look, it doesn't really matter how you build it inside, whether you inherit form or not inherit form or embed form. It really doesn't matter, as long as you solve the task in your own way. It's awesome. I think it's really great, and it can be inside the model as well.
Yeah.
If we can also do one thing. We can have some place where the things like what Philip is doing. It's not complete code, or it may not be the cutting edge perfect. Like I'm creating a lot of components which are not perfect, but we can share these codes, because these kinds of code will let us understand ATK from each other in much better way.
Yeah, I know, and we set up these meetings in the first place so we can tell each other what's the best way to contribute them. And guys, encourage each other. Okay, yeah, Philip, create a
Philip, like if you shared your code with everyone else somewhere, let it be wrong, but it gives ideas like how we can use ATK in much more different ways. It
yeah,
opens
just add the
new
README file. That's it. And
Yeah.
because if you have a README file, then I definitely will try and install it my test app and play around with it. And if you put a screenshot you showed us right now on your demo, this
one
looks
here.
sexy. Yeah, this looks really good, and I would like to have form like that. And then just explain how to arrive at this form. That's it. Because it's really cool.
Why not?
It comes on as a model, and it doesn't waste space, and it looks nice.
Yep. Give me, let's say, 1 more week, because it's still a lot of work in progress and it might change. But yeah, remind me next week to share it. Then it'll have a much more solid form.
Okay, cool.
Can
And
it be
as for Gaurav was saying, Gaurav, I think your suggestion to Ajaxify wizard is good. It sounds more like a pull request into ATK. We need to have a wizard being able to reload itself without reloading the entire page, because that has always been a problem.
There's also already a UI issue from me, half a year old, for this. So we can kind of hone in onto that one.
Right, okay.
Okay. So okay, guys, it's midnight here. I need to go now.
Yeah. Thanks for staying again.
Oh yeah, I'm always there, as I always say. Bye
Yeah.
bye everyone.
Okay,
Bye bye.
bye.
Sleep well, Gaurav.
Yeah.
Alain, thanks for your demo. It looks great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
really cool component.
Thanks.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye. See you next week.